Today we're talking about electrical, specifically 120 volt options versus 240 volt options. So electrical mistakes that can cost thousands. Now, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I have your questions from the community pulled up here and I want to address them. This is how a $4,000 sauna, buy can turn into a $10,000 project unexpectedly. And the real culprit here is electrical and people not advising you ahead of time. So let me just go over this with you. Again, intention is not to scare anyone. If you want a 240 volt sauna and you can afford it and you can support it and everything else, no problem. But these guys out here that are trying to say that you can put a Finnish or traditional style sauna in a high-rise apartment building easily are just completely nuts. Ask Matt before you buy, episode 4. What can really make or break this whole situation is your ability to support electrical. Not the brand, not the heaters, not the wood. It's going to be electrical, right? As long as you can fit the enclosure in the space that you have outlined, like some of you guys have pictures of your spaces here. You're showing me electrical panels, you're asking questions, can you add a breaker for this? Let's just pick one of these today. This question came from someone in our certified sauna community, and it says, Matt, I found a sauna I like, but it's 240 volts. Can I just plug that into a normal outlet if I get an electrician, to upgrade the outlet, or can I buy an adapter? So the short answer to that is no. And this is where things can get really expensive if this shows up to your door and you're thinking that you're just going to be able to swap out an outlet before being able to power this thing, because the wire that's run inside the wall is sized wrong, right? So you don't want to get into a situation that could actually be a real fire hazard, which is an underpowered circuit that's overdrawn. You should have 80% headroom on most of these circuits. I don't want to get too complicated because we'll lose folks that aren't into electrical or construction or things like that. What's the actual difference between 120 volts and 240 volts? And it's pretty standard. 120 volt is standard household power. And that's your typical wall outlet that you see around rooms. Sometimes you can have a 20 amp or a 15 amp depending. Usually garages will be outfitted for 20 amp. So you can sometimes you can power a larger sauna with one of these circuits, like a 3-person, depending on the brand and model. But the majority of the time, 120 volt is going to be plug and play. Most 1-person saunas, they run on 120 volts. So 240 volt is a higher draw. Sometimes there can be multiple legs, but I don't want to confuse you with technical jargon, but it usually means things like you already have a dedicated breaker for this. You're going to have the right gauge. Let's just say you have thicker wiring in the walls. You probably need an electrician in order for the hookup if you have a raw pigtail that doesn't come with an actual plug. What that means is larger products are designed to be installed by a qualified electrician, and they're literally not giving you a plug because they know that the thing is going to be hardwired. A lot of times you need panel upgrades to size the breaker right to match the equipment. So it's not better, it's just a different power requirement. Usually the draw is much larger. It's just more power involved overall. This is usually the moment where someone emails me 2 weeks later saying, Matt, my electrician just quoted me $3,200, to run a conduit around the outside of the house, drill through the wall, and supply this power where we need it because the breaker box is, here. Nobody factored in electrical, into the original purchase decision, and that's how budgets can kind of double with these things. It's not the actual sauna, is this a match for the use case? Is this a match for what you can support? So another follow-up question to that was, so does 240 volt mean it's heats better? Not necessarily, because a lot of times larger power supplies are sized with a larger cabin. So you have a larger cubic footage. The area or the space that you're heating is usually much larger. And it usually means, more total heater output required by the sauna, like more cubic footage to heat up, right, to get it ready. And here's what's going to matter though. A properly designed 120 volt 1-person sauna can reach effective working temperatures just fine. When I post this, I'll have links and it shows everything. So especially if the insulation is solid, the build quality is correct, the heater layout is right, you're using it consistently. Power type does not necessarily equal quality, but typically you're going to require more power on tap for a larger sauna. It's just the nature of the beast. It would be like, would you buy a small truck to tow a triple axle trailer that has, a 20,000 pound piece of equipment on it? Probably not. You're going to want a gooseneck or something like that, and maybe a diesel that's torquey so that you can get up hills and stuff and not strain. We're getting too far into the end of this, but this compounds with the next question this week from the community is, I live in a condo, what's safest to buy so I don't have to worry about these types of things? So if you live in a townhome or a condominium, 120 volt is usually your safest bet. Why? Because no new wiring required, right? No HOA electrical review if you wanted to run something around the house. A lot of people are confused when I say run around the house. Okay, you guys, I don't know if you can see the roof here, but my office is under construction. So we can run wires through the walls and everything else. Once this is drywalled and trimmed out, there's no way in heck I'm gonna rip down the drywall just to run a wire from that side to that side. But what I might do, if I had to, was run a conduit outside, drill a hole through the wall, hook up the line to the breaker box, and then put an outlet wherever it is that I need it on the other side of the building. The problem is when you have an HOA or you're in a townhouse or something like that, they don't always allow you to do this. So you can't just go in and make a panel upgrade without submitting a permit to the HOA. And I'm not talking about a permit with the city, without a permit to the HOA usually, right? So it's just sticky. So I would advise no panel upgrades if that's your situation. If you're renting, obviously you don't want to dump money into a structure, a dwelling, a place that doesn't belong to you, unless you just don't care and it's worthwhile. You know they're going to be there for a couple of years, and you know you're not going to drive to the gym and use it every day. Then you should do that because this is the only way that you're going to get the health benefit. So I just don't like surprise costs. I like low friction, and low friction usually increases usage for me. I'm just assuming that you're like me. So brands like Radiant Health, Heavenly Heat, Clearlight, Life Pro, everything that you could think of, they have solid 120 volt options that are plug and play depending on the size. You can't get a big one. If you're in shared wall living, simplicity is going to win every single time. And I can tell you, after testing more than 40 models of these things over the last few years and watching thousands of installs play out, here's the pattern. People almost never regret choosing the actual electrical option they can support without going through a lot of hassle, if they're not like a large family and they absolutely need a giant sauna. If you're a guy that's 6'8", 6'7", and you want to be able to stretch out in this thing, you're going to have to spend the money and you're going to have to do it. Otherwise, you're just not going to be comfortable. You're too tall, you're too big, right? The opposite is true. I've got one of those little mini saunas over there in the corner. I can't fit in it to test it for you guys, even though you're requesting it, and I have it, right? I just literally do not fit. But if you were a gal that's 5'2", you're gonna hop in that sucker and you're probably gonna love it because you could fit it under a stairwell in the corner of your master bedroom. You could probably sneak it in some of the bathrooms, like just over in a little corner, depending on the layout. People never regret choosing the option that's right for their needs. They just kind of get bogged down in, you know, flashy stuff that they see on social media and people telling them things with no context of whether or not that actually fits their situation. So they regret underestimating complexity a lot of the time of bigger ones if it's just going to be them using it. Now, like I said, if you're a large person, you have a large family, you have sciatica, or you have some physical impairment that is uncomfortable for you to sit in a certain position, or you want to lie down, you're going to have to go through these things and, you know, bite the bullet and just do it, because that's the only way you're going to be comfortable. Like I'm saying, it matches your needs and your use case. So electrical is usually where people find that, you know, reality, their confidence in the thing meets reality. So another follow-up question to this is, okay, but I'm remodeling my basement. Should I just go 240? Now we're in a different scenario altogether, you guys. So if you're already running new circuits, you're remodeling, the walls are torn open, you're upgrading your panel, you're doing a full renovation, then yes, this is the time to consider 240. Because you could also run another leg, or you could run additional circuits if you wanted, so that you never have to worry about accessorizing. If you wanted to put a cold plunge down there, if you wanted to run a treadmill simultaneously, if you wanted to run red light, a sauna, and anything else, you could accommodate that all at one time. Because the incremental cost when the walls are open is way lower, right? Way, way lower when they're already torn up. So the one question I always ask is, are you choosing 240 because you need it or because it sounds more powerful? There's a huge difference in that, and we could just summarize the whole video in that one statement. Are you choosing 240 because you actually need it, or because it sounds more powerful and you think you're going to get some type of performance, you know, yada, yada, yada. So adding on to this in the comments here, can I convert 120 volt to 240 volt later? Technically, yes, but it's not. It's trivial. It requires electrician, possibly new wiring, breaker changes, permits in some areas. And I think I understand what you meant. I think you meant, can I go from 240 to 120? Usually yes, depends on how they run it. You can't go from 120 to 240. You got to pull a new line every single time. So that's why I always tell people, decide electrical first, then decide sauna. If you're looking at something that's big or requires electrical upgrade, not the other way around. You can always downsize, you can't upsize. Another comment, does 240 volts detox better? No, detox doesn't care about voltage. Detox cares about heat exposure time, like heat exposure to the body. time in elevated core temp, hydration so that you can actually move fluids. This is a big one, you guys. Everyone talks about rehydrating and all this stuff, but no one is talking about how the body actually, in relation to detox, like what is the lymphatic system doing? Are you moving fluids through tissues, right? And where does that go? Is it going to filter down to your blood, or is it going to stagnate because you're dehydrated, right? If it can't get into your blood, how's it going to make it to your excretory pathways? The organs, right? I know the skin is the biggest organ in the body, and everyone says that you detox all this stuff through the skin, but it's not true. A lot of stuff still comes out through the kidneys, still comes out through the organs, other excretory pathways, urine. Depends on what compounds we're talking about here, right? So taking binders before your sauna session obviously can help with this if you have leaky gut, because then you don't have redistribution of toxins or reabsorption into the bloodstream. If you wanted to simplify this whole thing, right, you are inducing mobilization of things that are stored away, okay? And then they're being sent to excretory pathways for processing, but you have a compromise somewhere that's allowing that pass through to be rediverted to where it came from. So the whole point of an intestinal sweep, right? The whole point, like, I'm gonna do a masterclass on this so that you guys truly understand this, because no one anywhere on the internet is really doing a deep dive with you and creating an actual diagram and showing you what's happening. And once you get that, once you can visualize it and it's been demonstrated to you, you'll understand why and when you take and do these certain things. It'll make so much more sense to you. It took me years and years and years to get this. So the other thing that's really gonna matter is consistency. Everyone's worried about, if I don't shower right after the sauna, am I gonna reabsorb the toxins into my skin? You guys, the methodology that a sauna could provide or support the body's natural detoxability anyway is going to reoccur tomorrow. So if you had a 5% reabsorption rate, but you had a 70 or 80% effective rate when you use the sauna, don't you think you could remove a little bit of residuals? Now, sure, if you're a person that's been a welder your whole life and you have all types of health challenges and things, you probably want to towel off some of the nasty sweat, especially if it's oily, right? That's not normal sweat like from going for a run or doing a jog or something like that. So I digress. Let's get back into the topic here. Just these are really important things that can make or break, your health outcomes in a really short period of time. So all I was saying is that voltage affects size and power draw. It doesn't magically increase health outcomes. The things that I were talking about is more focused on increasing a health outcome. And you can do that with a 120 volt sauna or a 240 volt sauna. It doesn't matter. As long as the sauna is effective for your body and is able to generate a core temperature increase in a reasonable amount of time and give you a really good sweat. So, and this is one of the most common regrets that I see from people. Someone falls in love with some giant big model online. They don't check their electrical supply. They don't check their panel. They don't check their breaker space. Do they even have space to add a breaker? If they're in a condo or townhome, they don't ask the HOA if this is possible before they buy. Then installation day comes and suddenly the project becomes, overwhelming. Most regret isn't about bad saunas. It's like what's happening here, bad planning, right? And that's why electrical deserves its own conversation in videos like this. And I want to serve you guys and combine all these questions together so you get a really good feel for, what not to get, right? No one's going to tell you that because you go to a store and they just want to sell you something. It's like, how do they not understand? I'm going to buy, like if it's me, right? I'm going to buy this thing anyway. I am going to buy one of these saunas. Which one doesn't really, I'm going to buy one, right? And I'll buy it from you. Just help me make sure I get what it is that I need that's within my parameters and what's important to me. But no, they just want to shove it down your throat, and it's just like going to a used car salesman. It's totally ridiculous. Oh, this is what's popular. And have you seen so-and-so celebrity? They use this. And that doesn't mean anything in terms of, is this thing going to work in my house? Is this thing going to work for my body or for my spouse and I? Are we going to have effective sessions that we're going to want to use 3 times a week so that we get these health benefits? Because otherwise, we're just barking up the wrong tree. We could just go on vacation and spend the money on something fun because we're not going to get, you know what I mean? So how do I know what power I have? Here's what you do. You open your breaker panel, you look for available breaker slots. If you're going for something that's 240 and you're gonna have to add a circuit for it, you wanna look for existing 240 volt appliances and compare that with total panel capacity. Easier if you're unsure, just ask an electrician before buying. It's not expensive, not after. That one phone call can save you thousands and a lot of headaches. Another comment, what's the safest bet if I'm unsure? If you're unsure about your electrical setup, choose a high quality 120 volt sauna that fits your daily usage. 1 to 2 person will be plug and play on a regular outlet, because upgrading later is easier than doing a complicated install now and stopping in the middle and doing nothing, getting no heat therapy for the next 6 months. So, especially in, like I say, older homes, townhomes, condos, full electrical panels where you can't add dedicated circuits, low complexity is going to win. And the converse is true, like earlier when I said if you're doing a basement reno and you've got walls open, you're adding a sub panel, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're working with a GC already, it's no big deal for them to toss this stuff in. Minimal expense, probably $200 to add a dedicated line to power one of these things, right? Because no one's coming in and tearing up the walls and creating a giant mess like you're doing a rehab project. The rule we give everyone in the certified sauna community is electrical determines size more than preference does in a lot of cases. So confirm your power first, then choose your sauna, not the other way around. If this doesn't show up in like the best of model or brand lists or whatever, people don't talk about this because they don't want to create resistance to you like buying what they have and all this stuff. But I know from this not working out for me that you're going to be absolutely furious if you get something that doesn't work for you. So it's one of the biggest real world decision points that rarely is talked about. And if you get your electrical requirements right, your installation is going to be smooth. Right? You can see from the install videos that I do of these things, I show you like what's a pain to install. You get an all glass front sauna that has door hinges, then all that stuff has to be aligned. You're gonna be pulling your hair out. You watch some of the install videos that I do where I'm like, hey, this is the easiest sauna on the planet to put together. You see exactly what you're in for. It's a piece of cake. The only other sticking point in that situation is making sure that you have dedicated circuit if it's a large sauna that is required to have an upsized line and everything else. If you're trying to figure out what sauna is going to fit your home and your power situation, watch my best of series that just came out last week. It's a long form video, about 20-30 minutes long. And if you want real world feedback from other buyers, not just me, join our certified sauna community on Facebook. I'll see you in the next one.